Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for day number one of my 2025 31 Days of Horror Challenge. For those who don't know, this is watching and reviewing 31 horror movies over 31 days, all through the month of October till we get to Halloween. This was not a concept I came up with. I made it sound like it was an original idea. This has been going on for years on many other channels and whatever, but this is my second time doing it on my YouTube channel, so super excited to get into this. Like I said, 2025 edition of the 31 days. First of all, let me apologize for my voice because I'm a little bit sick. I'm coming off the end of being sick, so hopefully for the remainder of the 31 days I'm getting better and my voice is less annoying. But either way, like I said, starting with day number one, and a great way to start because such an iconic movie, beloved by horror fans all over the world. It's probably one that doesn't really need much of an explanation because, again, if you're a horror fan, I can almost guarantee you've seen this movie. From 1987, we have Evil Dead 2. This is my Evil Dead double pack, but just talking about the sequel, like I said, 1987, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Bruce Campbell. Like I said, I feel like every man and their dog, if you're a horror fan, has surely seen Evil Dead 2. And it's actually fitting, not just because it's such an iconic movie and seen by so many people, but it's fitting that this one started off the 31 days because I've kind of been on this Evil Dead kick recently. Like, I just rewatched Evil Dead Rise, just rewatched Army of Darkness, probably like within a month of coming back to watch Evil Dead 2, and it's been a while since I last watched Evil Dead 2, so like I said, it was kind of cool to revisit 3 of the 5 entries in this franchise, and I think, like, revisiting 3 of the 5, like, I sort of had this epiphany how consistent the Evil Dead series is. Now, if you've been on my channel for long enough and heard me talk about this franchise, I've actually been one to say that I'm not as massive on these films as what a lot of other people are, and a lot of people misinterpret what I'm saying. They go, oh, so you don't like the Evil Dead movies? No, I think they're really fucking good. I just don't hold them on the same tier as what a lot of other people seem to do, but like I said, rewatching 3 of the 5 entries in the franchise, like, it just came to me how consistent of a horror franchise this is. And normally when I'm talking about consistent franchises, a lot of people throw names out there where I don't think they actually know the franchise back to front, and I'm like, it's actually not that consistent or whatever. Like, I've always been one to say, like, Final Destination, Scream, like, they're 2 of the really consistent franchises out there. Evil Dead as well, like, all 5 movies range in, like, this 7, 8, 9 out of 10 range, which is, like, pretty consistently good. But either way, before I start rambling, let's get into the plot for Evil Dead 2. It is very simple for those who don't know this movie, or for those who do, they probably don't need this at all. But, I mean, you could sum it up in a very small sentence. It's Ash dealing with the Book of the Dead again in the cabin. Eventually some other characters come in, but yeah, it's him just dealing with the Book of the Dead again. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get into my thoughts of Evil Dead 2 from 1987. So again, with a movie that is so iconic as this one and well known, you kind of don't know where to start with a movie like Evil Dead 2. I guess if you're going into this movie for the first time and, you've never really had a taste of what the Evil Dead franchise is, you might be going into it and expecting, crazy storytelling and these crazy twists and turns and everything like that, but it really isn't. Like, honestly, you're not getting anything groundbreaking storytelling wise, or again, like I was saying, with the twists or turns and whatever. But it really is just a capsule of making horror fun. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. You could have this movie on mute, and the first thing that, like, registers to me when I'm watching this movie is, like, this movie is full of eye candy. Like I said, you could have the movie on mute, like, no dialogue, but every scene that pops up, there's always just something cool and interesting going on, whether it's, Bruce Campbell's over-the-top acting and animation and, what he's doing with his body, or the effects. I guess that's a really good place to start because there's a use of stop motion effects, like, constantly through this movie, miniatures, obviously practical effects, and the gore and kills and creature design in this movie is just incredible. Like I said, you just can't take your eyes off the screen just because there's just so many cool moving parts going on. It really does take your attention. And all the effects are, like, the perfect example of, like, using cheap tactics to the best of their abilities. You know, you hear all these behind the scenes stories. I'm sure a lot of people know on like how they made this effect work and how they made this one work, and it's just so fucking cool. And just watching it happen out on screen, it's like not only is it cool, it's also like really charming. It's just like, wow, you can really feel how much effort went into this movie from, you know, a whole group of people, and how proud they must feel like watching it come to life. Like, I think that's just really cool. Obviously there's so many iconic things, which that's the word of today's review, iconic. You know, the whipping camera through the woods as like the point of view of the evil spirits. Like, it's just so fucking cool. I kind of forgot like how many OG Evil Dead moments are from this movie. Like, this could be the most iconic Evil Dead movie, which, again, for people who know this franchise, it might not sound that surprising, but, you know, I hear a lot of people argue, like, which is the more iconic film, the original or Evil Dead 2, but, like, there's so many iconic, memorable moments from this movie, like the possessed deer head on the wall, cutting off the hand, Ash's line where he clocks the gun and goes, groovy. The one that always comes to mind here is for me at least, you know, I swallow your soul, and then he just goes, swallow this. Like, there's just so many early Evil Dead moments that I kind of just forgot were from this movie. Like, I really do think out of the original Evil Dead trilogy, which consists of the first two movies and Army of Darkness, I think this could be the most iconic. And again, people will argue that, but I think so. I think another thing that a lot of people, you know, debate about, which is a better route for the Evil Dead franchise, because the first movie does take itself pretty serious and it's pretty dark, and don't get me wrong, there's dark moments in Evil Dead 2, but this one's a lot more comedic, not in the sense of jokes or whatever, or doing things that are too ridiculous, but then also at the same time, yes. Like, first of all, majority of this movie is a one-man show. Bruce Campbell, again, reprising his role as Ash, he is, like, on screen by himself, I would say, for about 75% of this movie's runtime. And, again, he takes it over the top when he needs to, potentially, like, some people could call it, like, hamming it up or whatever, but he hits the mark to a T, because he's on screen by himself, and like I said, take away the dialogue, put the movie on mute, you're still watching him, whether he's jumping around or falling into madness or doing something badass. Bruce Campbell, he just nails it, and again, super iconic in this role. A lot of the humor in this one is slapstick. You know, you've got dancing, again, when Ash is going into madness, he starts like bouncing up and down with the furniture, like goofy as. You've got a body rising from the ground doing a ballet dance, which is super iconic to me. That's another scene that I always remember from this movie, the corpse dancing scene. It's so unique, weird. The stop motion makes it so uncanny, so it's like also uncomfortable, but it's awesome. You've got people choking on eyeballs, plates being smashed over heads by the person holding the plate. Like, there's so many like slapstick moments in this movie too, to a point where I can understand for people who maybe want a more serious tone. It could put them off or whatever, or maybe if you're going into, again, this movie for the first time, it might catch you off guard. But I think it just adds into the charm and fun. And I think that's really all I want to say about this movie. It's going to be a shorter review for day number one, but again, I think this is a movie that everyone knows. I'm not going to be saying anything too groundbreaking. Again, even though I'm praising this movie and speaking about it very highly, going back on what I said at the start, still, the Evil Dead movies, none of them are like ones that I hold on the top tier of horror, like all-time greats, where I know a lot of people would at least have one of the films in the franchise up there. But they are just consistently good. And again, this one's a really entertaining entry. It is just a whole heap of fun. My small nitpicks are just purely personal taste, as in like maybe just a bit more substance with my movies, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just like to turn your brain off and have a fucking fun time with cool effects, gore, kills, laughs, you know, that sort of thing. So, rating Evil Dead 2 for a score out of 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5. Like, it is just an iconic movie, enjoyable. Again, I haven't really added too much to the plate for day number 1 for my 31 Days of Horror, but let me know your thoughts of Evil Dead 2, again from 1987, super iconic. Let me know if you prefer the more grounded, darker tone or the over-the-top comedic tone. Let me know in the comments below. Again, 31 Days of Horror, so there will be another review out tomorrow, every day, all the way through October. For those who don't know, normally I keep the lineup of movies that I'm doing a secret, so each day is something new for you guys, but this year I changed it up and actually announced my lineup, so you can find the lineup of movies in my YouTube shorts. If I remember to do it, I'll link it in my description below so you can check out the lineup of movies. If I remember correctly, I could be completely wrong, but tomorrow I think I'm doing Wolfman from this year, 2025, so the remake. So I'm looking forward to check out that movie again, because I have seen it, but yeah, super excited for that. Thank you for joining me for the 31 Days of Horror. Keeping it a bit more casual again because my throat hurts, a little bit sick, but hopefully you guys enjoyed today's review, and I'll see you for day number 2 tomorrow. Peace.